Make a dish.
Your community radio.
Live from Main Street.
Mike Minarski and Rich Wasilick in the morning. And 80s all day and night.
SNSN.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, Rich.
What's up?
I think the first thing we need to do today.
Adjust the cameras?
No.
Please do not touch your dial.
We didn't get a prediction on you as far as how much snow we're gonna get.
Dusting.
A dusting. Kevin, what are we getting?
Whatever the weatherman says.
Whatever the weatherman says. All right.
Safe answer.
All right. Yeah, sure. All right. So, well, it changes. It changes.
Which station you're going to get different numbers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The National Weather Service says 6 to 12 right now.
I could go with that. That's a good guess. I'm going to go with dusting to 2 feet.
Dusting to 2 feet. That's good.
It's going to be partly sunny and partly cloudy today, too.
What's that, Jim?
He's really fine-tuned it.
Yeah. It's partly sunny and partly cloudy today, too.
How often have you been right?
When he tunes up his car, as long as the spark plugs are gapped anyways between 10 thousandths and 50 thousandths, he's good with it.
Yeah. No, if I hear a strange noise in my car, I turn the radio up. It goes away. So.
All right. This morning we have a special guest. We were supposed to have him last week, but he was unable to go because he had to do like first selectman things.
It happens.
It happens. Kevin Cunningham, the first selectman in Plainfield. Hey, Kevin.
Good morning.
So, what is going on in Plainfield?
Very quiet. Nothing going. You want to start with the calendar? We can go there. We can start off with next Thursday, February 3rd.
Well, let's talk about let's get an update if we could, like on Amazon.
Oh,
yes, there is Amazon.
Right. No, that's a big, huge thing that's coming to Plainfield.
Yep.
What's the status of that? How are they doing? I see buildings going up.
Okay. There is a gentleman who goes up on sends a drone up and takes video every week. And if you go to YouTube and take a look for Plainfield Amazon, week by week, he's got the progress on the drone video. So very cool to see the whole thing come together. So at this point, we're still looking at July startup.
Oh,
wow, that's awesome.
Is that going to increase my delivery time?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you.
Turn your microphone towards you. Yep.
Angle it.
No. Just take. Yep. Now push it. Just because you want to help him. He's going to talk into the blue light. He's talking off the side of the microphone.
Look into the light.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Look into the light.
See that?
Go to the light, Jim. Go to the light.
Will that increase delivery times, or is that just going to be like a warehouse?
No. This is the actual end mile delivery, so it will help out for local.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Now, are they going to do well? Anyway, let's see if we can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just going to.
Oh,
Is that more better?
Yeah, that's more better.
Okay. I mean, here we're going to what? We're going to build a massive building in what? 9 months or so?
Pretty much.
Yeah. We can't even repair a bridge in this country in 5 years.
Well, maybe they should give the contract to Amazon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, delivered in 24 hours.
So right away, Dan Peer wants to know same day delivery. Are they going to offer same day delivery?
Whatever the normal delivery is at this moment. So this doesn't give you a change in the time you're going to get your deliveries. But we do appreciate the fact that coming in, and we see some more jobs available. Tax revenue, of course. We're also, and people always ask this, are you I thought there should have been lights there, because if Amazon's coming in, it makes that difficult to get in and out of Big Y. I will be just asking the state of Connecticut to consider coming out for another traffic study after they're up and running. Because you can always say, we anticipate X amount of vehicles coming through per hour. Not until they're up and running do you see that. So I want to make sure that we can get that going. So it's an appropriate thing to ask, and it helps the residents have a final answer on what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, every time you speak and you talk to a subject, you always end it, or you at least allude to it, to how the residents feel about it. How the residents feel about how the residents are going to vote. You know, give them a voice. You always do that.
Information is key.
So
Information is absolutely, and that's what I was mentioning with the meetings we have coming up. We're trying to put out as much information to the public as possible, and let them know that there's a meeting coming up. We use a Nixle system. We use Turnpike Buyer Local. We do follow-up messages to radio stations and to the newsprint. We do go online to our Facebook page, onto our website. I had a call the other day. This is very interesting. The woman called up and she said, "Well, can you tell me if you're going to be doing the testing? When are you going to give more test kits out?" And I explained to her what the process was. And she goes, "Well, I didn't know it was happening. A friend told me that, but I'm obviously too late." We worked something out. I got her something. But
sure.
the bottom line was, I asked her, I said, "Hold on, could you help me out? Because I'm trying to figure out what I can do to spread the word out." I said, "I've done all these things where I've gone on to the Nixle and the press and every vehicle I can think of to get the information, signs saying, okay, when we're going to vote. How did you find out? And how did you call us? Why did you say you didn't realize it was a pass out, but now you're going to call us?" I heard it from a friend. I said, so all the different ways we go out there and you hear it from a friend.
Word of mouth.
Can you maybe suggest to me any other vehicle that you use? She goes, "Well, television." I said, "Ma, I'm not going to be putting something on TV because we can't afford that." But, we try very hard to get that public information out there. So to go through really quickly with the calendar we have coming up, February 3rd, there's a town meeting, which if it's voted and approved, goes to referendum. It's for the taking money out of the fund balance. We're going to be looking for spending up to $220,000 for a records management system for the police department, and up to $84,000 for a backup generator for the police department. So then that would, if it's voted yes, we go up to vote on referendum. That's the 3rd. The 9th is an informational meeting on the new sidewalks. They're going to be ending where it ends over at Eastern Bank. And the sidewalks will continue underneath the overpass area, and we'll go over to in front of Big Y. And we want to share that information with the public, exactly, listen to their concerns. Then the next day, we have the information on the annex. So speaking of the annex, before we get to that. Yeah.
How's COVID testing going in Plainfield at Town Hall?
It's actually, the numbers are drastically dropping in regards to who's going to get tested. We had an issue where after Thanksgiving, the traffic started increasing, and we were talking to Semaphore about getting police officers there to help us out.
Semaphore, that's the company that's administering the tests
For now.
Right.
February 1st, it changes over. We have Ren is coming in. So we were there with Ren the other day talking about how the process is going to change over. It's a little different. Instead of the nasal swab, now it's going to be a saliva.
Yeah, spit test.
Spit test.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you spit, I guess you're okay. But that's going to start with them on February 1st.
Well, what if you're a dipper?
Oh, that's a.
You're an expert spitter, but how does it affect it? That's what I know you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But
When you
that
mentioned
just popped into my head.
when you mentioned the spit test, are we actually spitting into something?
into a tube.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Because I mentioned that instead of getting the swab quite some time ago at the hospitals,
Mhm.
they didn't even know what I was talking about. Now I used the spit test, and I guess it's more formally called something else.
Yeah, there's a proper name for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Spittoon test.
Yeah.
So we are doing Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 3 to 7 p.m. We are doing Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the volume at one point after Thanksgiving started going up and up. We finally got them to help us support with paying for police officers because it was crossover traffic. You're coming down Community Avenue crossing.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
There was one day I remember you and I were texting back and
That
forth.
was the worst day too.
Oh my goodness. That was when Melissa was not feeling well, right? So, and she subsequently got a test at work and she tested positive and all this stuff. But we were in line to get a test. And you know where Plainfield Town Hall is? Do you know where it is, Jim, on Community Avenue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to stop and think for a second.
Over the railroad tracks, right?
Well, no, well,
Yeah, it went
past the road.
Yeah.
the traffic did back up past.
past that.
Yeah.
Up the hill, like where the junction of we joined the line where 14 and 14A meet or whatever.
Yes.
It was nuts, and it was hardly moving.
Wow.
So that backup was for a couple of weeks ago was for testing, but
It was
not an
testing.
accident or something, because I was backed up beyond the railroad
not an
tracks,
accident,
the
it was
far
testing.
railroad tracks.
We
Yeah.
wanted them to actually. We had after Thanksgiving we talked about changing the pattern of the traffic to go the other way on Community Ave all the way down through the Lathrop Road extension. The problem was we needed an officer. It had to be an officer. You couldn't have just me going out there and directing traffic. So finally, Semaphore decided that yes, this is a great idea. Let's pay for it, and traffic pattern worked fantastic.
It changed at that point.
It worked much better. So that was part one. Part two was now that after the holidays, it's starting to actually slow down tremendously. So we don't even have the volume that is needed. So we probably go down to one officer instead, possibly even knocking off one of the days. We're going to talk to Semaphore about that. And our positivity rates will probably go with it. It will probably drop down.
You're saying Semaphore?
Semaphore is the company that was no bid for about 17 stations around the state of Connecticut.
That's paid for by the emergency management?
Well,
For the state?
To the state.
Yeah.
Now they're changing them.
Yeah, that's
So we're looking at look. My job is changed dramatically. What I was doing was normal everyday business in the town hall. Is now at least a third of it is all related to COVID, because you're talking about those making sure that everybody's safe out there. Then you're also talking about the test kits and the masks that were delivered from the state of Connecticut to the emergency management groups, and then those are now disseminated down to all the towns. There's a process. You have to order them online. You have to go pick them up. You have to prepare for volunteerism. I will put it like that: volunteerism for the staff to go outside and pass them out. You don't want people walking in.
No.
So we just got another batch of them, and I have to figure out the order by which they're supposed to be disseminated and passed out. That is going to be shut-ins. Now, I don't know. Do you know where all the shut-ins are in your town?
I would think senior housing.
Okay, all the rest of them?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like
The only one that might have a clue might be the senior center director, Tina.
Yeah.
She probably has a reasonable handle on that.
but it's still there's a
If
lot
anybody's going to know, it's probably going to be her.
we get calls all the time about that. Well, I wasn't able to go for my mother because she's shut in and she has a staff member go to see the house, So those things we keep track of and try to help and support them. So it's a lot of work because you got to sit there and put all that thought together and also the physical work of getting them out there. So it's changed my job, printing off all the executive orders and reading through them and kind of comparing what they're meant to do. It changes rapidly. So.
Well, has anybody, all of you people, unfortunately, not old enough to be on Medicare. Okay. I am. And I looked at my Medicare statement. These PCR tests that we're doing, don't hold me to the exact numbers, but I believe the number was $123 per test that Medicare was being charged. And they were paying something like $80-some per test. Okay, you've got a matchstick here that's worth a penny. You got a daub of cotton batting on it that's worth a half a penny, and we're paying these kinds of prices for it. I mean, we wonder why people can't afford medical systems.
Supply and demand.
Well, you also have the staff members who are actually taking those tests and running them through a cycle to verify if they're positive or negative. So it's the software that goes with it, the employees that go with it. Yeah, there's a little more, but I understand what you're saying.
But I mean.
Yep. So that's what I've been doing mostly, and great question. I think I've got most of this now in control with what's going on. So we do the testing. Back to our calendar. I talked about the annex.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put together as much information as possible on the annex so that people can understand where we stand with it. And so
let's back up. What's the annex?
Yeah.
Okay. When the town of Plainfield voted to
build a new
high school. And there was a reason why, and I can explain that. NEASC is the governing body in New England for all of the school systems. They did a test in the old Plainfield High School and found that there was mold there, and also some asbestos as well. So they said, here's the issues. You got to fix them or build a new school, A or B. So it was put in front of the public and voted, and actually failed one time, tied one time, and finally passed. And then it came down to, okay, we're going to tear down the building that was built in 64, I believe it was 1962 or 64. Oh. So that part of the building, original building for the high school for the town of Plainfield was built in 1924.
Wow.
The back side of it was added on in 62, I think it was. And then again, we get to NEAC saying, okay, one or the other, we vote for a new school. They were demolishing the old school and taking the 62 school and taking that out. They had an opportunity then to say, well, they came to the Board of Education and said, this is what we got. We got the annex there. Do you want to take it down or not? Quickly, there was an high school annex committee formed, about 14 people on it. And we did a walkthrough. We did an evaluation. Jeter, Cook, and Jepson gave us a documentation on what's wrong with the building, what it could be if you wanted to put money into it and move forward. And it was voted and approved to keep it. I was on that committee.
Oh.
So I also kept all the minutes for those meetings. I also kept the binder that came out of it from Jeter, Cook, and Jepson. So I have all the detail to what happened. I will just say it like this. It made up of about 14 people, and there was myself and one other person that voted to take it and knock it down. They were offering it to do that for $38,000.
Wow.
Okay. But they wanted to keep it. And then they meaning the rest of the board members were mostly made up of members of the Plainfield
Historical Society.
Ah, okay.
So I can see where their heart was. I could see that and understand that, but we don't have the money to put into it right away. So it was basically left as is. And obviously it's deteriorated over the years.
So now it's not going to cost $38,000 anymore if it's
No.
going to get knocked down.
Yeah.
Now I have information to share with people on that night, but basically we can take this down for
100.
no.
Oh, no.
No, I had a company come in to give us an evaluation of the issues that were at hand
Mm-hmm.
with hazardous materials.
Yeah.
So I can share that night. And basically, I do want to be fair because look, I have my own personal opinion about it, but it's a town. You run a town, you have to be
Two
down the middle.
Yeah.
So you could either knock it down, you could build it back up, or if you do knock it down and you could leave it over as grass, or if you do knock it down, you can now have an opportunity to put something else there. My personal opinion is what Putnam has in for the food market. That would be a great place to have one of those because you could use it for multiple things. You could have it for obviously the food market. You could have it for music festivals, food festivals, craft fairs. People could use it for other parties. It's a multi-purpose open area, and I think that works great for Putnam. And I would like to see something similar to that here.
You're talking like a park or like
No,
both?
this is the pavilion.
A big
It's
pavilion?
a
Is that,
long-
are you speaking to Rotary Park in Putnam?
the one that has the dog park right beside it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different one. That's a different, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
On Kennedy Drive.
yes,
Okay.
right there. That is to me, it's a great opportunity to actually continue using the site, but for different purposes. But that's just me. I mean, but I have to look at all of these different things. Someone said, "Why don't you knock it down and put a library up there?" And we'll talk about that. So there were also some people talking about how they'd like to repurpose it and put different things inside the building. And we'll talk about that.
Now, from what I've talking to other people
Mhm.
and stuff, I've heard that there are just so many things that would have to be done to the building. Now, I don't know. I mean, where you stand on this or anything, but I don't know. I've heard there are no sprinkler system in there.
Correct.
So you're gonna have to put a sprinkler system in, a new fire system. You got to rehab the building.
How much would that cost? Do you even know?
Rough numbers only.
Okay. So I don't know. So
Yeah.
So, remember years ago, there was also something in Plainfield where they were looking to create a brand new library or repurpose a different building and make a library out of it.
Yep.
There was a group of people who were a library committee group who were talking about putting up a new library. They had land that would have been donated. They had an idea of putting up a brand new library, which at that time was like $2.5–3 million.
I was gonna say libraries today. You're not talking books. You're talking.
Yeah,
A lot
it's
of
a different,
multimedia.
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Meeting rooms, multimedia.
Yeah.
So, you could go that route, but the idea would be if you're repurposing for a library, it's already been told that you can't use the library on second and third floor. It'd only be the first floor, and even that needs some. You have to address some areas of concern there for bracing the area to hold that weight.
Yeah. It's just
So this
occupancy.
building is structurally not capable of supporting people on the second and third
I
floor?
think when the people see what I'm going to show them on that meeting, they're going to see that
I think
there's a lot of things that aren't.
The thing is occupancy and
feasible
fire
anymore.
load and all that, and so on the second and third floor, it's too heavy, too high.
There were drafted plans from a study that was done from the administration prior to mine, talking about what they'd like to do with it. I applaud the efforts. I see what they're looking to do, but in my mind, and I'll give you a fair example here. If I was to say that I could build another library for $4 or $5 million, why would I put in almost 3 times as much as that into rehabbing it?
Mm-hmm.
So
knock it down and rebuild and put.
if
something else
that's
there,
what they
yeah,
want,
yeah.
Yeah,
again,
makes
these are all
sense.
ideas that we have to kind of vet out.
Do they have? Is there a library in Plainfield now?
There is one. It is the Aldridge Library. It is listed, and there's a special deed for it. It says it has to be and always will be a library.
Where is it?
Downtown Moosup.
Moosup. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't.
They
I
had
can't
3.
Remember. Okay.
There was one small one which was in downtown on Railroad Ave. It's really small, narrow, thin. That was one, and then there was another one that was part of the firehouse over in Central Village,
Okay.
right on the side of it.
Okay. I wasn't
That
aware
was
of
it.
that one.
Yeah, there were 3.
Were they used?
Yeah.
Most libraries today aren't utilized. That's why I was.
Well, that raises the question. I was sitting here pondering it while you guys were talking about it. I mean, I love libraries. I've been in libraries since I was
Yeah.
probably 6 years old, and I still love. I want books. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't really want to look at a screen to read a book. Okay, but I'm an older generation. I mean, the young people. It's all about this.
You get
Should
Kindle.
we, should we? Yeah. Should we be spending? I don't know what your numbers are. $8 million on building a library or anything.
Oh, just to build a library. Yeah.
You know, to do that, I don't know.
I know there was talk the one here in Jewish City about the funding and stuff, and it's not really utilized the way the libraries were.
How when we grew up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
But it does give a lot of people who don't have internet or don't have other electronic
Sure,
equipment
yeah.
a chance
It's
to
a quiet
actually.
place to go too and do stuff. Yeah.
So we got a couple questions, and I think it's let's see, a couple people have joined into the show a little bit after the fact, but maybe we can just cover it again
Okay.
because that's what happens in radio. People come and go.
This is radio.
Oh, I don't even know what we're. People say to me, "Are you a radio station?" I go, "Kinda."
Media.
Well,
Media, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like your
If you're
library.
on live right now,
Yeah.
streaming, so it makes it a different venue. Yeah.
It's totally different. But that's the whole evolution of radio.
I think it's like your
You know, that's
library.
happening
It's a whole
now.
different revolutionary change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here's one of the questions. Amazon, do they have jobs posted yet, or do you
No,
not know?
not yet. I'm going to reach out to them soon, and we're going to be talking about getting a job fair just for them. We're also looking for a job fair for the smaller businesses that are around.
Mhm.
So there are some I can tell you right now. There's a lot of restaurants. If you go to restaurants now, you're lucky to get seated because
Mhm.
most of them are just takeout only still
right.
because they can't get staff.
Daryl, who is a Plainfield resident, and you already went ahead and addressed this, but Daryl must have come in a little bit late, and it says,
Come on, Daryl.
yeah, I know, Jesus, Daryl from the Healthy Computer, School Street, Jewett City. It's another business you could steal from us.
Him and I got in
Hey,
trouble.
oh, come on. I didn't steal.
If the annex gets demolished, what are some thoughts on what would go in that area?
I'm open to suggestions because, like I said, I had one which was similar to off of Kennedy Drive, the pavilion which they use up there right now for a food market.
Yes.
And that's one idea. Someone else said, "Well, what about a library?" Those are lots of open ideas. Of course, you know what the superintendent of school says. Hey, we could use that as a field. I said, okay,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
could. There is enough space up there. You could use also more parking, I guess.
When you say food market, is that what I would refer to as a farmer's market?
Farmers market. Sorry.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
And
That's what I was wondering.
Daryl just said, he goes, I like the idea of farmers markets and craft show.
How about the healthy computer?
Craft show area. Yeah, the healthy. No, we got to keep them here. We need to keep some businesses instead of
Wait a minute. Is
migrating to Plainfield.
is he offering Wi-Fi there?
You heard the man, Daryl. Speak up.
Taking bids. That's
Oh, Daryl, sorry you couldn't stay connected to the show this morning.
Oh.
Like for example, at libraries, there's a gentleman named Daniel Peer who's in here, who he said sure, by the way, he'll offer Wi-Fi. But, he's part of an organization called the Connecticut Paranormal Research Team, and they get asked to speak at different libraries and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
those are things that could happen.
Was that gentleman also in the annex at one point? Did he go there to?
I don't know, Daniel. You heard?
I think they've been to.
You heard?
I think they've been to our town hall as well.
Probably Daniel and Christine. Yeah,
I think so.
Haunted?
we did a ghost hunt thing with them one night.
At the town hall?
No.
Oh, I was going to say.
I think that was the group that was
It was
over
in
at town
Preston.
Okay.
It was in Preston.
Oh.
It's a bed and breakfast. I forget the name.
So
Captain Grant.
hall. And the only thing they found at the Plainfield Town Hall was ghosts of budgets past.
Yeah. I'll haunt you.
You'll be visited by 3 budgetary ghosts tonight. One from the past, one from the president, one from the future.
President. Yeah. Pretty good. Speaking about that, we are in budget season. Everybody always forgets with everything going on. We're in budget season, so we are trying to come forth with a budget for the town side and the Board of Ed side, and make it so that we are doing what's my mantra all the time: 0 mil. We're trying, so it's going to be a lot of work to do that.
Does
But we're working.
your budgets always go to referendum?
On our charter, it says if we have a 0 mil increase
Doesn't
or
have to, right?
or a reduction, nope, it's automatically voted for by the Board of Finance, and then they set it right there.
Okay.
It's I love having Kevin on because he's his own segue.
Yeah.
He just goes right into everything. We can sit here and just go. No, it's great. You're the easiest interview in Connecticut. I swear to God. Let's see. Scott.
Wait for the next question. Go ahead.
All right.
Here it comes. Scott wants to know what's going on at Plainfield Material 14A.
Well, it depends on which Scott it is.
I'm
I'm teasing.
It's Eichelberg. Scott Eichelberg.
Well, thank you for the question, Scott. You will see, hopefully, if we have a quorum at the next inland wetlands meeting, that business is actually going to come forth with plans.
Mhm.
And they have yet to name the actual company. So we'll find that out. Whoever it was that is going forward with this is hired an engineering firm to get all their plans ready to go, and they've asked for anonymity at this point. And that's a great thing to say, because there are people online that think, why don't we know what's going on? Why aren't you telling us what's happening here and there? Some companies would like to be anonymous at this
And they
point.
have that they have that chance.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Here's why. If I was to say I'm going to put plans together and come forward and say, here's what my plan is going to be, but haven't finished the completion of the purchase of the property, well, now they'd say, okay, this is Walmart is going to come in and buy that property, and they're going to buy it for $2 million. Well, then all of a sudden, if you haven't finished the transaction, behind you, someone else is going to come in and say, "Oh, I want it for 2.5."
Yep. Okay.
And so you respect the fact that they're looking for anonymity for certain things.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Can you hang out a little bit more? Or you got
I can do that.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break right here on SNSN, and we'll be back with some more with Plainfield First Selectman and all around great guy Kevin Cunningham.
Don't just wish for a winning deal, make it dish. It will make it real. Don't just wish, make it dish.
Hey everyone, this is Ellis Dish from Dish Motors. We're back better than ever with our new sales and service center on Route 32 in North Franklin. Everyone says there's nothing better than dealing with the dishes, and here's why. Selection. We have the area's largest inventory of off-lease, one-owner vehicles of all makes and models. You name it, we got it, or I'll get it for you at no additional charge. Quality. Each vehicle goes through a rigorous 120-point safety and quality check. Nothing leaves the lot without my personal approval. Convenience. We have financing sources for almost any situation. We offer on-site registration processing, and we have maintenance programs for years of stress-free ownership. And now open for all your maintenance needs. Our full-service repair facility, where oil changes start at just $19.99. Call today for your appointment or just stop by. So save thousands and deal with the dishes. Route 32, North Franklin. Or check us out online at dishfranklin.com. Or ring us, 860-383-4750.
Don't just wish, make it dish.
Mike Minarski and Rich Wasilick in the morning and 80s all day and night.
They're not human. They control the Matrix.
SNSN.
All right, we control the matrix. That's what that thing just said. Did you know that we live in a matrix?
I heard from you.
It's not even real. Man. We're just sitting here. We are the game, The Sims.
I often tell myself this can't be real.
It can't be. So I just want to go ahead and go back and say, Mr. Eichelberg says, great job, guys. Thanks. Court Kinney from Grizzled says, great job, Mr. Cunningham. Plainfield is lucky to have you.
Not according to
I
my
agree
wife.
with that. I'm a fan. I'm certainly a fan. You know, yeah, Luann, we may say something different, but who I think Luann popped in there too. I think she was She's just keeping tabs, make sure she knows where you are. Are you wearing your GPS bracelet?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's why.
I was going to say, did your chores? That's
What
why.
is
It's embedded
It's embedded.
I take it Luann is his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
for now.
Oh.
When she decides to get rid of me, that's it.
So you did all your chores and they're all set.
Daryl, is there anything going on with the old C&M building in Warregan?
I would say that there is a few companies who are now interested in the building. I can't say anything more than that.
Okay. I think we hit all of the questions for right now.
I'm a Sagittarius. I like long walks on the beach.
So, do you
I
have
want
any,
world
do
peace.
you have any future plans for the Plainfield?
Oh, well, some of the things that I have in my budget for upcoming year. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll see how that
Go
goes,
for it.
but basically, again, trying to keep it to zero increase, but I'm still looking to do things for upgrading some of the things we have. At the Moosa Pond, I'd love to have lifeguards there during the summertime so we can actually have programs there again. We used to have them, and to that tune, I'd also like to put a permanent structure for a bathroom right there, not a portalet.
Okay.
We have it where that pond is now on a sewer system, and there's a grinder right there, so I can actually build something. So that'll be permanent.
Well, that's good.
I like to put a couple of permanent bathrooms outside of our town hall over by the gazebo. And by the way, these would all be monitored, and at a certain time of night, they close the door, automatically closes the doors. And
Okay,
locks.
electronic.
Yep.
Yeah.
So those are things, minor things that we'd like to do. I have a request out to put up solar lights similar to the style that we have, or will be putting up very soon over on Railroad Ave. The lights will be going around the track, the Lions Park track. So it'll be a little safer out there and look much better. That's some of the things there. We're looking to upgrade. Not a lot in our request from fund balance, but a few things. And I'm just drawing a blank right now what the other items are, but some more things I would like to bring into the town to do. So more activities.
Let me ask you this question. Do you know what your commercial tax revenue is percentage wise, let's say, compared to the residential? Because you guys seem to be doing a lot of things up there.
I don't know the exact percentages. Like I can get that for you.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
I mean, yes, we.
Well,
are
I mean,
doing a lot
obviously,
more.
you have much more commercial than we have down here.
Yep, we have a lot of other projects as well. We have the one off of Cornell, which has finally come to fruition. They're starting to get ready to put it up. The solar farm, it's at the dead end, so no one's going to see it. And it'll bring us revenue of $156,000 a year for 20 years. We made a hometown agreement with them, so it'll help out revenue wise, and no one will see it. But yeah, we do have a lot of more small businesses. We have larger businesses coming in. It's going to be helping out. My concern is really jobs. How do you fill them all? Really, I mean, especially nowadays, because people just don't have that push and urge to work.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you looking for a job?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to check out Amazon. I think that'd be pretty cool.
There'd be about 450 drivers going out 150 at a wave, 10:30, a little after 12, and then 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon, 150 each. And the first two, I believe, are just Amazon trucks for deliveries. And then the other ones are going to be a mix of the
Delivery vans.
who are private.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know people that are private that they
Yeah,
deliver.
you see some of them running around.
Oh, I've seen them like come down Tracy Avenue here. I saw them last year. They're delivering 2 big bundles of toilet paper and paper towels.
Still,
and it was
Still, huh?
Well, no, this was last summer.
Oh, I was gonna say.
And well, people are still buying that stuff. I bought a big case and it was cheaper. Bought a big case of White
A lot of
Cloud.
GI problems going around.
Huh?
A lot of GI problems going around.
Too much salad. Too much salad and fruit.
Roughage is roughage.
Yeah. So no, and I was in the back out by my car, and I saw this guy, and he's looking around for an address, and he couldn't find it because there was no house numbering. Ha! Which is something that
It's on there.
that is on
It's
the
coming
agenda
out.
for Grizzled.
It's coming out.
And the guy looks at me and he goes, "Do you know where this number is?" He said it very, very fast, and he was obviously had an accent, and I'm like, "What?" So I helped him find it, and I didn't know he was like, there was one guy who was actually walking all the way around a house, and I'm like, you know, and of course, you know, when you see that these days, what's your first instinct?
Well,
Somebody
was he
is-
carrying a bundle of toilet paper?
It was just a box.
Oh.
It was just a box. So maybe he was selling encyclopedias. Grizzled now would have had a
I think
field
those
day.
are, I think
Yeah.
those are gone passe too.
Huh?
I think encyclopedia salespeople have gone passe also.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
Hey, it's much easier to just grab this little thing you carry around in you.
Jim, I don't know if you want to touch on this now, but this is something that we talked about yesterday outside.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what subject I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Is this something you want to ask?
Let's you and I explore it just a little bit
Okay,
more and,
all
get,
right,
and
all
get something put together on it.
Would you like? Let me ask you this: if Jim has an idea on something, which I think is really, really has a lot of growth potential to it, would you be part of like a roundtable discussion? You know, with other town leaders. You know, one night. You know, I think that would be something that would be really good that we could stream from here, and you know, have like people from Plainfield, from Griswold. You know,
I'm fine with that.
Lisbon. Yeah, I mean, I knew you'd probably be open to it. You're always up for that kind of stuff. So,
For a fee.
But yeah, that's
You're gonna have
got some
sprinkled,
legs.
sprinkled or frosted on.
Definitely frosted.
Okay.
Yeah, frosted.
I can give you a key to something if you want
Oh,
for a fee.
yeah.
We doesn't know what the keys
I have enough
do.
keys. I've volunteered enough in this last year. I'm now a member of the Lions Club
Oh.
because they needed someone to go in and open up
Okay.
and help and support, and no problem. I've now just joined BNI, Business Networking. I'm trying to make it so that I have good connections with things that we all need and be able to point people in the right direction as well. So that's a great group. Volunteering time to go in and open up the town hall just for certain events. Last weekend was, believe it or not, two days. There was a Friday vaccine clinic by Day Kimball Hospital from 2 to 5:30. Then it was also the next day was an orator contest from the American Legion, local American Legion, and very, very well run. And I'd like to continue those things, but sometimes it's just a lot of days, a lot of events, and the weeks just fly right by.
It's Plainfield is a very busy little town. You know, with everything that's going on, whether it's activities or businesses coming in.
So here's my question: how do you
It's
make
impressive.
that? How does that
probably
happen?
more. It's probably the busiest I've ever seen it.
So how does that happen? Because
Well,
I mean, how do things come in? How do things?
all the above. 'Cause it's quiet and
One of
kinda
the things
grizzled.
is they have better infrastructure
Yeah.
in the town than we have here. That's
Yeah.
that's a huge thing.
It is.
I mean, we had Amazon in here too.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't want to wait. If the infrastructure isn't there, they just move on.
It's
good point.
It's a very exciting time where it's not really going to be the quiet corner much longer, because 395 once, and we talk about it on a regular basis. When the old Route 52 changed over to 395, that was it. Matter of just time of when things are going to start utilizing our region, and we're getting there now.
Yeah, they
We
run
really
out
are.
of space down there.
It's been
So
30,
coming up here.
35, 40 years.
Mhm.
About 40 years
Well-
since that's happened. I remember driving 52.
I don't.
Oh, I do.
Uh,
My mother would say, "Get up on 52 and you get up on exit 87. That's a dog track. Go in there, you know, bet on Tell Jimmy, you know." Bet him, he's you're not going to make anything. He's going off at 1-9. He's a big time favorite.
Just curious, because you say all these things are happening in Plainfield, and you look over Griswold or whatever, and it's like chirp, 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 chirp.
Well, it's just a matter of timing. It just really is. I think that the companies that are coming in also are doing their homework about what they like and where they like to be.
Yeah.
what once you have like an Amazon also, it brings a lot of the side businesses with it. And I said that as soon as I was talking to the group when they said they're coming, is the interview was very simple. Those businesses, as Amazon opens, you have to now talk about the businesses that will have to support them, such as you get your gas stations, your banks, your car dealerships, because people are going to have needing transportation. You got your places to go eat, Big Y. All of those things are ancillary. Everything comes up and is being fed back and forth. So their work staff isn't just going to come into work and then go home. There's got to be lunch. There's got to be ways to get gas, and it helps everybody. So a lot more businesses are looking to come in to do small business as well.
Sure. Well, one of the things is this area is kind of equidistant between New York and Boston, and a lot of people are focusing on that.
In Hartford.
Yeah, in Hartford. You can get to Boston in what, an hour and a half or less. Providence, in 25 minutes. Hartford in what, 45 minutes. New York and then a little over an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think Putnam would be a little more attractive too than it is, because they're equidistant between, say, Worcester, Boston, Providence, and Hartford. I mean, they're in a hub. But
look at what comes right directly off of 395. When you're going into Putnam, you already have the downtown area, which has its little niche. So but directly off of their exits, there are things there already. So it's difficult for them to come up with an Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Madeline Garner says, "Good morning, Mr. Kevin."
Good
Hello,
morning,
Mr. Kevin. And Laura, she says to Rich's comment, it also depends on how involved the residents of the town are involved when it comes to bringing business. That's key.
Yep. And for that, you need people who are elected to boards. You need volunteerism. We have a very good mix of that right now. We just had our elections, filled a lot of boards and commissions. We have the appointed boards and commissions, which we're filling up rapidly.
Say they actually filled up.
Just about, there's like 4 more openings left, and I think we're going to get those done at the next meeting.
Wow.
So
I don't think
it's not that here.
No, there is. We've had
a lot of the same people are on all the boards.
But we've had a big.
Like you're on boards now. I'm on a second board now here, and
I say there's all the same people. That's what I was.
But I mean, there's been a change. There's been a change in committees and things too. I mean, like on the capital improvement committee, we got let's see, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 new people sitting on that.
that's good to have too, because you have new ideas.
Exactly.
Court Kinney says to Jim, you're right. Infrastructure is crucial. Absolutely.
And we're getting there. Matter of fact, we have a lot of our America Care ARPA monies that were coming in. We've earmarked a lot of that to going into do the sewer upgrades, because they needed it. They haven't really upgraded for a long time. So we have to be able to support that group that's coming out of Amazon. So there's an upgrade for that sewer area over there. Same thing off of 14A, where the Plainfield Materials, the question that came in earlier, right. That one as well. We have to upgrade those. All of our stations we're looking to upgrade with new monitoring systems. And by that is, you're not running a 24/7 shop. So the staff goes home, all of a sudden the system goes down. Well, you get in the morning and there's a mess, literally. But if you have the monitoring stations automated so that they can get the
they just go to a private company, or they go to the dispatch?
No, this is actually an electronic device. It just says, okay, we have a problem with something going
on.
No,
I know, but who's monitoring?
Right to our staff.
Well, Cortland just reminded me of one of my favorite subjects, actually, and that is I have major concerns about us burning up our farmland for development, whether it be housing or commercial development, because you look at you look at the shelves in the stores now. I mean,
And one of the biggest problems we also have in our area is housing. We don't have enough housing.
Well, part of that problem is because of the restrictive zoning that we've had in the whole Northeast here, which is 2-3 acre lots, some places. Okay. I mean, I've found that Griswold, having done work in other towns, I found that Griswold planning and zoning is one, and wetlands is one of the best towns to work with reasonable people.
Well, I gotta disagree with you there.
Well, that's okay. That's my opinion.
What you say we don't have enough housing, but where is there not enough housing? Because I see tons of empty places.
Okay,
over.
all you
So
have to
what you
do,
mean?
go
That's
on
what-
social media
Mhm.
in any of those town discussions
Mhm.
and see when someone says, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't
Can't
find
find
them.
them.
Okay.
So I would encourage a proper plan for a larger development like that, but not taking away a lot of our farmlands. That's it. We are really minimizing what we have left for farmland. So I support our ag commission. As a matter of fact, I think we have a couple of openings that are being filled on the ag commission as we speak. I'm not going to name any names, but I think she was on earlier. But we're looking to do support and help spread the word about how good we have for agriculture in the area, and not lose the land. It is tough.
Yeah, I mean, because your small farmers here in the Northeast, you can't make a living on a farm.
No, actually, aren't they supplemented a lot by the government funding, right?
Well, there is
Some.
Yeah.
some, yeah. But I mean, I'm thinking of 2 or 3 farms in the area that are big farms, and those that are still functioning are barely functioning, are barely surviving.
I think that's got a lot to do with a lot of people don't want to farm anymore. The younger generations coming up.
That's
They
true.
don't want to get their hands dirty. That's the
You need tradespeople too.
yeah. You need tradespeople. You need all those people. They don't have
Plumbers
them
are almost a thing of the past, and plumbers are.
I'll tell that to my son. He's a
Is he a plumber?
plumber.
He's probably making bank right now.
I mean, going back to the housing, and
Yep.
one of the largest arguments out there are that all these housing developments coming in are taking away from the value of the private residences. So how would that be?
Hogwash.
I'm just arguments I hear. What do you think
I don't,
about
I don't
that?
know that that's hogwash.
No, I don't think so. Depending on where it's built,
Depending,
depending on
where
the quality of the
Yeah.
housing.
Yeah.
If you're buying, if you're building slums, or you're building, let's say, low income housing, that's a different situation. But if you're building stuff
Well,
like
A lot of those coming in end up being low income, or they don't call them low income anymore. They're
workforce housing.
workforce or I'm not usually politically correct, so I don't have those terms. But
So you're the one.
but I don't know for a fact, so I'm asking from your experience as a first
I think
selectman.
what we have coming into town so far, we've been very fortunate to
Okay.
quality housing coming in. So it certainly doesn't bring the value down where the
Mhm.
ones I've seen.
Because I know the concern up here for all the new ones coming in, and they're looking at building one in Montville now, another 100 and something.
You're talking about the proposed 142 units.
Well,
up
that
there,
and
of
there's
which
one in
72 has
Montville that
already
are
been
being
built.
proposed for
Yeah.
100 and something
Is that
apartments.
the one with
It's right there, and it's right there where there should be an exit onto from 164 onto the highway
okay.
going southbound.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you had the ones that were built up here that
Apartments.
were.
I don't know what they're called, but I mean they're the ugliest things you can imagine. I mean, they're just boxes. Okay, they're not even attractive.
Well, that I know, and a lot of like New London went through it. Waterford's going through it. A lot of towns are going through it. They're building because people can't afford these multi-million-dollar houses now. So you bring these in, but then the property values of everybody else is in comparison is. So I know that's been a large argument for some of them. So
And you're absolutely right. I mean, our families are smaller and smaller, yet
Yeah.
we're building McMansions.
Right.
Okay. and not only are we building McMansions, which are using up a lot of land because of the large zoning.
and they're not filling the houses anymore.
And in addition to that, look at the natural resources that we're using
Mhm.
up.
So I didn't know what your experience is at first. Like, have you seen the property values go down because of these apartments, or?
Then I want to get into some comments. So
Okay.
So I haven't seen that.
Okay.
some comments. Let's see. Number one, give yourself credit, Kevin. You're going out and seeking these things to come into town, along with support from others. Side note: your wife still likes the rural settings.
Of course she does. For those who don't know, we have a nice little 5+ acres and a couple of horses. So yes, that's why we moved down here, is because it was a log home and it had land for the horses.
The
So-
log home?
Yeah.
Oh, I like those.
Kelly says the old CM building or property would be a good place for apartments. She says.
Would be.
Okay. Court Kinney. Government does not help small family farms, mostly the large conglomerates. And when it comes to farming, that's somebody who would know.
And
Mhm.
he's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The big ag corporations are grabbing all the money because they've got the influence.
Dawn says affordable housing is the term you're looking for.
Okay.
And downtown Moosip has 3, in all in caps, huge apartment buildings that are slum. You can actually smell the rot. Why are we not holding building owners responsible for the condition of their property, i.e., blight?
We don't have a blight ordinance. Start there.
There you go.
We do not have a blight
Do you
ordinance.
have an ordinance
So
committee?
how do you enforce something if you don't have
If
it?
you don't have it.
Do you have an ordinance committee in Plainfield?
There was a request to review a blight ordinance from given to us by our town planner. She's going to be following that up at a future meeting and talking about it. So I think we're starting to. I think what the misconception of what blight is, and I don't think that was the company you were talking about, but what blight is. We had a blight ordinance committee started before, and people were upset because it was certain things they picked out of it and said that we can't, not doing that. That's my property. You can't tell me what to do. It was about vehicles on a property. How many would be allowed and not allowed? We have a couple that are, I would politely say, have vehicles out in their woods of their property, and sooner or later that gas is going to permeate down into the ground. Same thing with oil, coolant, whatever it might be.
Sure. And you're bringing down the property value of everybody else around you.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really what the intent back then was, to say, there has to be some limitations. I'm not going to tell you how tall your grass is or what color your house is, or that I don't like the fact you put 5 trash cans outside. That isn't the intent. The intent is trying to make it so that exactly what she was mentioning, we can start addressing.
Well, I have a huge problem with some of these issues, and that is that your property no longer is your own property. I mean, basically, you are dictated to and are controlled almost totally on what you can do with your own property. Now, I'm not disagreeing with some of the things that you're saying, okay? But when you get people going around and saying, okay, this house needs paint on it, well, maybe I can't afford to.
Well, I
paint
say go
the
ahead and
house.
pay for it. I'll be more than happy.
Let's flip it the other way. Why don't we then have a group of people who would be, if they're all concerned with it, why don't they help to volunteer to help it out? You might have an issue where an elderly is in a house and they can't do it.
We talked about that.
That and enforcing a blight ordinance is tough to do as well.
Let's help our neighbor.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yeah, you don't like you got an older couple living next to you, and the house needs some paint. Get a group together, okay?
Paint it, yeah.
Won't take long.
Call Jimmy Carter.
Paint
Well,
the
that,
house
and
for
I
them.
know
Not anymore.
a lot of towns with the blight ordinances that enforcing it is the actual problem.
Yeah, the fines
right
behind it.
here in Jewett City.
So Dawn follows up on the comment. She's the one that talked about the blight that you guys are talking about. And she said a blight ordinance for health and safety issues, ... Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Can you send me her name so I make sure that when we have the blight committee, that Dawn would help us out by volunteering?
Yes.
That'd be
I
great.
will certainly do that. So Dawn, you have been pegged to be on that ordinance committee.
Well,
Good job.
She lives
Good job, Dawn.
Is that a different Dawn than I'm thinking of? Because the Dawn I'm thinking of lives in Griswold.
No, it's a different Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Madeline says, but having a trash and old cars can become a home for rats. Kids will wander and get hurt.
Yeah, those two.
Again, blight ordinances help us out tremendously. Oh, well, in the meantime, though, if you do see or have a concern on things, don't hesitate to call the town hall. We can talk to the zoning enforcement officer. They can at least inspect it and look at it. So it could still be something we can take care of, but don't hesitate. Don't wait for a blight ordinance to come through.
Gotcha. Yeah, you don't have to have a blight ordinance to take care
For
of
certain
some of these
things.
issues.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Because planning and zoning, I think if you have so many vehicles on a property, you could actually be deemed a garage or a commercial garage or something. There's ways around it.
I think the thing here is I think you can have one unregistered vehicle. I think in the
Pretty sure.
1 or 2, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm working on that car. Okay, well, how many are you working on? The 100 that are out in the...
Well, I'm trying to emulate Jay Leno.
Parts
I'm
vehicles.
going to have warehouses full of them eventually.
Well, those are
Did you just say the late Jay Leno?
Yeah.
Is he dead?
No, I didn't say late. No.
Oh, I was like, when did he die?
No,
Or is there a
it's-
plan?
No.
God, I
He's
didn't
a massive
see that
guy.
name in the Deadpool. I mean,
I'll take Jay Leno for 100.
I know.
Well, a lot of people, they have like 2 cars that are helping their building, and then they have the 600 scrap parts vehicles that are.
Exactly. I mean,
A lot of these things that we're talking about, I mean, pertain to not just Plainfield, but
It's every town.
Everywhere.
Griswold, Lisbon, Voluntown, Canterbury, list goes on, Sterling. And I think it's really important that residents know and realize that when it comes to these issues, they are the ones that really are truly in control.
Mhm.
And it's not the Board of Selectmen. You know what I mean? You guys do vote on some things, but even the first selectman, you're there really for what? To break a tie.
Pretty much.
Okay, you
Yeah.
know. So, and if there's something that, you know, wants to come, let's say Jim, you know, has something that he wants to do in Griswold or whatever, just pick a subject, whatever. Jim can go, or any resident can go to any Board of Selectmen or town council or whatever and present their idea and can turn that into a referendum, which has nothing to do with what politician you have put in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So here's an interesting point, going to what you were just saying. What I find is a lot of people don't even know what a first selectman is. So can you don't shed some light on that?
Similar to a
All
town.
knowing, all seeing, grand poobah.
Well, similar to a town manager.
People don't know what that is. That's why. What's your
Or a ma-
powers?
or-
What are your?
or a mayor
A
of
mayor.
a city.
You do daily operational items for the town.
Mhm.
So if geez, sitting in my office on a daily basis, let's see, well, yesterday you've got people people call up and say, what's going on with this building because half of the building is caved in, and we want to follow up because it was something that was supposed to be taken care of a few months ago. So in that particular case, I'm now working with our building inspector, making sure that the paperwork that was supposed to come in to tell me what hazard material is on the property, we have a list of it now, and now there's a plan to take it down. So I'm working with all of those aspects of one call and making sure that the resident is called back to say, yes, this is what's happening. That's just that one item. Then, of course, we have the new paperwork coming in the mail with the state of Connecticut talking about milling and repaving over on from where the corner of Cemetery Road is going down Route 12 all the way to 205. That's a new summer project coming up. So I have to coordinate that now with, let's see, I'll put all the variables in there. I had my highway crew chief retire. Well, I have a union contract that says I have 10 days to post the job and wait for someone to take it.
Mhm.
And then if there's multiple people, I have to be able to weed out who is the proper person for that. And then now I'm giving that information to my current acting person to do as backup. I also had to give him a list of all the places he has to go down to pick up the next batch of test kits for the Board of Education on Friday. I'm working with him on some other issues around town. So that's just traffic. And I got a call today. I'm going to be following up a call with the police, talking about the police support for the testing. I mean, every couple of minutes, there's something else changing, and that
Is
person,
it overwhelming, Kevin?
at times.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what it is I'm dodging bullets and putting out fires and all day long. Then I can do my paperwork. Then I can actually start doing paperwork at night until the meeting starts for whatever meeting I'm going to, and then I get to go home.
You mentioned paving. How many miles of road do you have in
I think
Plainfield?
it's 42 total miles.
42.
Some state, some town.
Have you ever done a road study plan for the roads in town?
We actually do that annually. We go out there and take a look at what our next roads are to be paved over from town roads. And we put a list out and we calculate how much we have available for it based on last year's bid that we got.
How
We're making a small adjustment to that.
how much money do you fund for road repairs, rehabilitation, and total redone?
Traditionally, it's been $300,000 a year, plus whatever we might get from the state of Connecticut to help us out.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Nope.
I mean, we got about 100 miles here, and I don't believe that includes state roads. Okay. I'm not positive of that though. And basically, we did a road study plan. Well, there's been a number of them done. In fact, we're in the process of doing another one right now. And the previous one, which was done, I don't know, 5 or 7 years ago, recommended spending $1.5 million a year for 5 years to upgrade our roads. We have never come even close to being able to garner that amount of funding to repair.
There's
the
no
roads.
towns.
We actually have let's see.
Oh, Got a call in?
Hi, who's on the line with SNSN? Hello. Goodbye. Okay. Nobody.
Last time we had the same result when someone was trying to call in.
It's your car extended warranty.
Actually, if it's not the car extended warranty, people call back because I figured it out. So call back.
So the residents complain about the roads, but yet we're not spending the money to maintain them.
Don't have the money half the time.
Yeah.
It's a very fine juggling act where you're trying to work with different departments all day long. So you are working on multitude of things, but you're also looking at the future. You're also looking at how you can be able to allocate certain funds to make sure things are being done properly. And of course, there's always there's 2 or 3 people that walk in my office on a regular basis. And I know as soon as they walk in, the first thing is, okay, what broke now?
Are these residents or are these employees?
Employees.
Okay.
And here's another big one for you is we have we have issues with trying to fix things right now, and I'm sure it's every town has an issue with if you ordered vehicle upgrades and ordered vehicles from last year, you haven't got them yet. We had ordered 2 new trucks for the Buildings and Grounds. Nice seeing you. Buildings and Grounds had 2 new trucks.
He might be back. He's got a call the fire department.
So the 2 trucks for the maintenance department, not in yet.
Mm-hmm.
3 trucks for the highway department, 1 dumper, 2 trucks, not in yet. 2 police vehicles, not in yet. Now that's continued wear and tear on the old ones, and they're starting to break down because of that.
Yep.
So we're in a real worrisome spot where we're waiting for those things to come in. They keep saying, haven't got them in yet. The dealerships say we as soon as we get them in, we'll get them all set and get them over to you. But it's causing some problems.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the increases. I'm chairman of the Capital Improvement Committee here in Griswold, and trucks that we were buying for $150,000 a few years ago, okay, went to 175, and I've been carrying 175, and now I'm updating them to 210.
Yep.
And these are for 6-wheel plow trucks. Okay,
Yeah.
But I've got one on the plan for an F-250 4-wheel drive, $85,000.
Yep.
Freaking pickup truck.
It is getting out of hand, and I've got one also for the highway department for a backhoe, and I thought, okay, well, I had allocated 190, and they looked at me and go, 190?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, now that brings me to another interesting proposition that I was going to mention to you earlier, and I didn't know if I wanted to mention it on air.
Is he propositioning me right now?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
One of my thoughts is the committee's always trying to take and get the best bang for our buck with the equipment we're buying for the town and stuff like that. And one of the things I've discussed and thought about considerably is the sharing of equipment that is not typically used continuously. For instance, a catch basin cleaning truck.
Yep, got one of those.
Okay, and things like that.
Boom trucks, a 65-foot boom for tall trees.
Mm-hmm.
That's rarely used, but it is used.
So would you be open to exploring the sharing of equipment? And I think that has to be done in a manner that one town would own and operate the equipment.
Yep.
And it would be because you don't want to have an investment in a $100,000 or $500,000 piece of equipment that any Yahoo is maybe going to operate it.
Any Yahoo, I love that.
Hey, look, any town can have a Yahoo. So
absolutely.
We have both. We have.
And God, that
You
is
have
not,
Yahoos?
that's
Yeah.
not a slander against the public works employees in this town. My God, you have to be careful because I got
No.
castigated the other day about something I said on the radio.
Now we have both issues. We have one where we share between 3 towns the boom truck,
Okay.
and we have a back truck, which we also another town has been using or are asked and requested to use. We have some trade-offs we do, so I have no problem with that. The only problem I do have is if we get back a certain truck and it looks like someone beat the heck out of it, then we got to talk about, well, who's going to pay for the repairs.
And that's why I'm suggesting that one town owns it and the vehicle goes to another town.
Mhm.
The town that owns it, their operator is the one that goes.
I just this past week I came up with an issue similar to that with the boom truck, and what I want to do is I proposed it to all 3 of the towns that share it is a checkoff list. You bring the vehicle back to me. We're going to walk the entire vehicle like the checkpoint system that you get at the for a used vehicle. Go over everything to make sure that everything is in prime condition, and we both sign off on it.
Mhm.
So that way we know it's okay, and we approved it, and we move it on to the next town after that. Same thing. So we're going to start that process, and hopefully it'll stop little issues we've been having.
What towns are you involved with?
For that truck, we have Canterbury. We also have Brooklyn.
Okay.
There's a statement, but I think that needs to be just addressed. We kind of addressed it at the beginning of the show. We started talking about the Board of Education for a little bit.
Yep.
And the statement is you should ask questions about the school system. And one of the things or the reasons why we don't with yourself, the first selectman, is because, and tell me if this is true or not, is the Board of Education is their own separate entity, and really they should have to answer their own questions.
Yes.
And back and forth.
Yes.
So
yeah, when it comes
it's not
to,
that you don't want to.
No.
It's just,
I mean, I have my opinions about things that are happening there, but if a resident was to come to me and say, "Look, Kevin, I want you to force certain things to happen or not happen,"
Mhm.
that's for the Board of Education. They have their own.
it's the
budget.
same thing here too.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here too.
Yep.
Like for example, if somebody, like we talked to Todd Babbitt when he would come in here when he was first selectman, he
Yep.
would say, you need to address the
Yep.
Board of Education,
Yep.
on those issues.
Absolutely.
and
That's
stuff.
what they're elected to do. That's why they have a superintendent.
Mhm.
So the questions really should go to their membership, or whether it's a letter, whether it's in person to visit with the superintendent, or whether they go to the Board of Education meetings to speak up at the public comment. So
Yeah, it's certainly not because we don't want to put information out there or you don't want to share information.
No.
Let me ask you this question, because this has been going on in our town. The Board of Education has been really being beat up over vaccines and all of this stuff.
Mhm.
Have you got that going on in your
yes,
town
as
also?
yes, there were a lot of parents who were concerned about doing vaccines within the school system.
Mhm.
So I contacted a member of the board and also the superintendent and said, I have no problem if you wish to move the vaccine clinics over to the town hall, because it does a few things. It gets away that issue of peer pressure. If you're in a class, the kids in a classroom and everybody else stands up to go get the vaccine, well, that peer pressure affects them.
Mhm.
So by taking it out of the school system and putting it into the town hall on a different day, totally different day, you now have an opportunity where a parent would drive their child because they want it. They drive their child in and get the vaccine.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good way to take the pressure off the Board of Ed, and it worked so far.
This is a slightly different issue, and that is that at public forum, certain people apparently, I haven't been attending school board meetings as
Mhm.
regularly as I used to, but I was there a couple of weeks ago, and a person was castigating one of the board members personally. And the chairman asked the person to quiet down, and ultimately she
Shut the meeting down.
shut the meeting down.
Mhm. Which is their right based on the
yeah,
type of
but
vote.
I mean, I think everybody has the right to address the school board, but we need to do it in a civil manner.
Absolutely.
You know,
And by the way, usually what occurs in just about I think it's the way he goes through FOI. If I have public comment on my agenda, public comment is just that. You can say whatever you want to about what's happening in the
Mhm.
town. It doesn't mean I have to address it and have back and forth banter.
right?
And the Board of Education here is very, very upfront when they say that you can go ahead and make comment, but we are not going to answer
Plainfield
at
actually
this point.
actually has a policy about that. It says to the board members, you are not to engage and go back and
Same
forth.
thing here too.
Yeah. I mean, because that'll just drag on forever.
It could.
I think, I mean, you're right. I think, residents should have that right, to go ahead and speak in front of whatever board they want to go ahead and speak to.
Mhm.
But one of the things with the Board of Education is that doesn't mean that they're not going to answer you. It could mean that the chair is going to go ahead and refer the question over to the superintendent, who may reach out to you, with the answer to the question.
Usually it's I'll get back to you on that, and if you want to meet in person, that's fine.
And whether you like that or you don't, it's pretty much the way it is in every town. You don't have to like it, but that's really the way that it is. you can hate me for saying it, but it's just the way that it is. And Mary Beth Malin, she had every right to shut it down if she needed to, and she felt she needed to. And again, you don't have to like it. But it is in
the chairperson is in control.
She has that. Yeah, right.
As they are in control, if they can't keep control because of a person commenting or a resident or whatever it might be, if they're not in control, they have the right to shut it down. They also have the right to contact the police to say this is unruly and it's not being productive. Could you at least be here to support? That has happened rarely, very rarely in Plainfield.
But so you have a police department. Okay, we have one state trooper that serves the Jewett City during the day, and another one in the evening.
And that puts the onus back on the chairperson to make sure that they can.
It goes past that too. We did a game the other night, Grizzled in Montville, and there was a parent from Montville who was very, very vocal and decided that they wanted to go ahead and really chastise the refs. Didn't sit very well. So after a while, after a couple, because the refs they will not, go ahead and react to it.
Yep.
Went over to the person in charge and they brought the cop over that was there, escorted him out of the building. So it happens. It's not just here. It's not just there. It's everywhere. These are things that happen that. And I think, I don't know, do you think sometimes that people have this attitude that we have to be militant and we have to force our way and force our opinions through instead of going through the correct channels?
So I think a lot of what we've seen throughout the country is it's escalating, and their rights sometimes are infringing upon others. And I would give an example, like if someone comes up into a meeting and starts saying this has to happen, and they start escalating, and they usually use the term, but I'm a taxpayer. Well, so am I.
Yeah.
We all have our, pros and cons, what we'd like to have for an item, but we should do it civilly.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping that people understand that. We haven't had many issues at all in Plainfield, and I don't think that, I would say the most contentious one probably coming up might be, what do you want to do with the annex? But I think people can be civil and make their point, and we go from there. Back to what you said a long time ago was like keeping them in mind what the citizens want. It's I want to hear what they have to say, but we have to do it respectfully. Yep. And I think everybody so far has been very respectful.
Well, one of the things that the reason why I spoke the way I did about the different boards of education really pretty much having the same policy, as far as not answering questions at a board meeting. One of the comments was talking about policy. Why is Plainfield the only school in the area that will not address parents' concerns in a Board of Education meeting? And unfortunately, that is not true. It's pretty much the same way in every Board of Education meeting. They're not going to. I mean, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, civility. Number two, they don't want to go ahead and give the wrong answer. You can sit there and yes you all to death.
It's not a debate.
Exactly.
It says comment.
Right.
So hopefully that if the message isn't heard, I would ask that you consider talking directly to the superintendent. They have time to talk, and we'll make an appointment. Or individually contact the members of the Board of Education and say, this is my concern. Would you please listen and see what we can do to get a resolution? But that time of the meeting, and believe me, I know because I was on the Board of Ed for years, their meetings go 2.5 hours, sometimes 3 hours. And that's just, to me, I hate that. It's just, you have a lot of business to do. You have a lot of things that are on that agenda. You should be able to go through everything in a timely manner. If you're going to add on debate back and forth, we're talking 4 or 5 hours of a meeting.
Yeah, I was at a policy, a school board policy meeting, subcommittee meeting a few days ago. And that was one of the things they were talking about was just that. You start getting into a debate and you're going to be there till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I mean, again, we're all volunteers. We don't get paid for any of this. And there are a couple of boards in town that certainly get a lot of abuse. Fortunately, most of the ones I'm on, there isn't a huge there isn't a huge number of people that show up for public forum. And that's unfortunate, really, because, we make decisions that we think are best, but we don't get a broad input from the various citizens in the town.
Love to have input.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's another comment says people are very emotional about certain things, not knowing how to communicate effectively makes the situation worse. Now, my thought on that is that I think pre-COVID, I think it was a lot different.
Yes, it was.
Okay. And now since COVID, has pretty much, ruled our lives for the last 2 years and has really taken away any of our thoughts and feelings about anything. You're told
any of our rights to,
and you have to feel a certain way because this is what you're told. You have to wear a mask. You have to do this. And people are pissed.
Yeah.
So now I think that kind of goes off to different subject matters like board meetings or something like that, because I think it's a way that when people used to have control of certain things, now they don't.
Yeah.
Or they feel that they don't. Even they have the same amount of control, go to board meetings as they always have, but because life has really taken a lot of your privileges away from you because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I think people, what do you think? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. It's
not a bad thing. It's just
a lot of things are more difficult to get involved. If you remember a year ago about this time, it was nothing but Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Not everybody has access.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does make it difficult because people would show up to the building and you're really not there.
I did that. I did that at the last school board committee meeting. The meeting had gone to Zoom, and I didn't know that. I have it in my calendar.
Yeah, it should be on the online calendar, or at least someplace you can access it.
It may have been. It probably was, but I don't know.
Naomi says and then this is talking about how I'm assuming this, but it would make sense. This is addressing why the Board of Education does not go ahead and reply to your comment or question. She says the policy is a bylaw. It can be reviewed and removed. That is absolutely true.
Yep.
But it's not. That's not the way that it is right now.
Well, the policy committee, the subcommittee, would go out and talk about different policies. If there's one in question, whether it's brought up by a resident or somebody else, you could actually have that as a discussion item in your policy committee meeting. There's some that probably won't go away, but they're based on logic, and I'm sure that the policy committee would probably say, yeah, this is the way it's been, and we'd like to continue on with that, and it follows certain guidelines for FOI and blah blah blah. There's reason behind why they would change them.
There's a process, but there always has been a process, right? So Sandra says, as a resident of Plainfield, there's a lot that is not addressed as opposed to she's talking about the school board, and parents are not getting answers.
And that's why I say contact a member or two on the Board of Ed. Contact the superintendent, ask for a discussion with them directly. They are elected officials. They are people who are.
The superintendent is not.
No, superintendent is also a hired position from that Board of Education. That's their only employee. That's it. He's been very open. Paul's been very open about sitting down a meeting and talking things through.
And I think Sean has been also. I mean, I've always.
Sean's very open to communication here in town.
I said anytime you want to talk about something, Jim, come in.
Yep. This user says already did that and pretty much no luck. So what do you do? Or what do you suggest? And I know this is not really fair to ask you because you're not the Board of Education.
Let's
But we
use
can speak
me
as citizens.
All right.
Okay, so they come to the Board of Selectmen and say, can you change a policy? And we have, as a Board of Selectmen, voted to keep the policy. That is our decision. That's why we were elected to think things through and vote for it. That's our belief. It doesn't mean that that's everybody's belief, but we believe that that's how it is. Now, if possibility that there's a petition that goes around that says we'd like to change the policy, we have a little over 10,000 voters. So maybe if there's a large number of people who say we'd like to talk about that policy and make a change to it via petition.
You need, it was like 800 signatures?
Well, there's a percentage. It's just 5% of the last, for a petition, you need 5% of the last election numbers. And then you can get and according to our charter. So every charter is a little different.
Well, I'm also on the ordinance committee for town. Okay, and we've been presented with a number of ordinances in the last few years that they wanted to create. I know when I initially got appointed to that, one of my goals was to review all of the ordinances, make sure that they make sense, and if it's an enforcement thing, I want to know who the enforcement officer is that's going to deal with it, because we have so many things that are not enforced. Okay.
You mean the no bowling on Sunday, otherwise you get a $5 fine?
Well,
it's one of ours.
Well, I don't know if we still have it in the borough or not, but I've heard it that you can't run your horse down Main Street at more than a walking pace. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that still is really illegal.
In Guilford, you can't walk backwards on a road past dark. Yeah, but there's a reason for that. You know what the reason actually is for that? Hitchhikers. No, you can't hitchhike. They can't say you can't hitchhike after night. But they can say you can't walk backwards on the road.
But you can stand there.
Sure can. No, I know this is going to get into a shit show. So, this whole thing with the.
I do have to wrap it up soon. I do have.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's almost 10:00. So Sandra, you've been on my show, and I know what your plight is, and I think you've been through hell. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I've said that right out, and you know that. Naomi, who is helping Sandy right now with her what things that are going on. Not appropriate for us to address right now because that's a Board of Education thing, and they're not here.
Right.
So they're concerned about no communication. And one of the things that Naomi just said, she goes, no, this bylaw was adopted in 2008 and has not been reviewed since 2013. The bylaw was not always in place. We didn't say it was always in place. We said it's in place now. So I think to suggest, and I'm going to suggest it without you getting involved in this, get a petition. Don't talk to the Board of Education anymore. If you feel that you have it documented that you have not had any luck with any kind of communication with the Board of Education in Plainfield, document it, go ahead and get a petition, get signatures, and then go. You could very possibly force a referendum to go ahead and change any bylaw.
I'm going to let it go.
Okay. All right. But Jim, can't you not do that? Look at Pam Padalano. Keep Griswold quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want the gun range here in town.
Mm-hmm. And they mounted an extreme effort. And I mean, there was many of us that were in favor of initially because we thought that would bring more police protection here. But that's why we need more public input to all of these things. Okay, is because we have a smaller view than the general populace. And I mean, what we need inputs from the citizens to take and say, hey, part of this is a good idea, but this is the problems that you're creating.
Right. All right, we're going to end this right now because we got into this a little bit late, this part. But Kevin, thank you very much for coming down.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. Jim, thanks for stopping by. As always, Jim's off camera, but you can hear his voice. He's there. We will be back tomorrow is Friday. Later on, we've got middle school basketball, Griswold against Thompson. It is 8th grade recognition. It's a lot of fun watching these kids. Check it out right here on SNSN.
Hi, Miranda Mahoney here from Griswold Pride, your local drug prevention coalition. So, marijuana, now legal in Connecticut, but there are some things you really should know. It's only legal for people 21 and older. And always, always secure your cannabis products like edibles, vape pens, dabs, and of course,